Very, very good morning again, everyone. Charles here, FRGNT Daily Chart Analysis. Good morning. The time is just approaching, or rather, the time has just ticked past 8 local here in Milan. So we're still pre-London Open. All charts are prepared, and we are ready for the potential trading day ahead. So if you were sharp enough to have a look at my DXY breakdown moments ago, you would be aware that long term the DXY is looking bullish. However, short term, of course, after that higher high, we can anticipate a higher low continuation towards the upside on the DXY. So trading that higher low on the DXY would mean short-term shorts on the DXY, which could then well mean across to the cross pair, such as GBP/USD now, there could well be presented a short-term long position. However, we treat GU as its own entity and we mark that chart as its own pair, of course, and we see whether the trading setup aligns, although we are expecting potential short-term shorts on the DXY. However, once that's marked up, we could well see that potentially we'll skip the short-term long position, and although we foresee price to go up towards the upside, it may simply be worthwhile or worth our while waiting for the higher probable short position on GU, which would make more sense, in my opinion, if I am expecting longer-term DXY bullish to come out, or a bull run, or a bullish sentiment rather, to come out of the DXY, if I can get my words out. So where are we? Let's have a look. So top right hand corner, we've got the weekly time frame on GU. Now it's quite important, that weekly time frame, particularly the weekly 50 MA, and how the current or previous weekly candle closed in relation to that weekly 50 MA. So we can see, as a result of that bullish close last week on GU, we have now closed above that weekly 50 MA. However, with that said, we have a tremendous wick to the high, which wick imbalances suggest that indeed there is a tremendous degree of liquidity sat above that area for whatever reason that could well be. Now we can see that reason if you drop down to the bottom right hand chart. You'll see the daily time frame and the daily 50 EMA, as well as a daily order book that was created and price came into that area, and as a result of finding liquidity there, price then pushed down and ensured it closed below the daily 50 MA. Now, if you look at previous history, you can see exactly beautifully how price is respecting that that daily 50 MA. And I'm using the 50 MA, the 50 EMA across weekly, daily, and 4-hour, simply to find areas of potential turnaround if price is going to respect it, finding liquidity, whether that's towards the up or the downside. Now, with that said, where are we? Does our theory support potential long-term or short-term longs? No, it doesn't. However, with that said, we are trending within a higher time frame weekly order block. So we have a slight contrast, or rather a slight conflict, where ordinarily I'll be looking to take a long position from a higher time frame order block. That's a given. But nevertheless, we have reason to believe that price could well continue short using the DXY, expecting the DXY to continue long. So does it make sense to potentially look for a trade? Well, I would still say, as an intraday trader, it can still make sense so long as the entry criteria is ironed. It's most certainly there, and the setup itself, presents itself. Now, where are we? Down to the bottom left-hand chart, I'm going to start reading the 4-hour time frame, most importantly in terms of structure and how price is being respected on that 4-hour time frame as well. So if I draw structure out in its most basic form, we'll say a low was created here, potential lower high confirmed as a result of this lower low. So price is still trending above the most recent lower high, which means currently we are still in a bearish momentum. So what that would mean, if I'm going to take a long position, I already know I'm against the higher time frame, or at least I am trading against the 4-hour time frame. However, with that said, once those areas are refined, if an entry criteria, as I've said, presents itself, then there could well be a position for a trade. Now, if I start to go to the 15-minute time frame, which is my entry time frame, if not slightly lower, I will need to see a momentum shift first and foremost. So again, reading price in its most basic form, we've had the lower low, lower high, and that's confirmed as a result of this lower low. Price has come back up, lower high, and confirmed as a result of a lower low. Now, refining that 4-hour time frame down, I'm not a swing swing trader, so I'll not be trading from that 4-hour order block. So once that's refined down, I've got my lowest order block within that area, which is the 15-minute right there at the lows. Now, does it mean I'm going to take an immediate long position? Absolutely, it does not mean that, because I would not be comfortable to take an immediate short position on the DXY from this same area. But what must be said is you can see the confluence between the two. So if I'm expecting the DXY to potentially push up into these areas before looking for a short, potentially a short-term short, then if I go to GU, in contrast, I can expect GU, which is a cross pair, acting in inverse with the DXY. Then I can expect GU to come into its 15-minute order block and then expect a potential turnaround. However, with that said, it's very clear for me to see that we are still very much so bearish, whether that's on the 4-hour or whether that's also on the 15. So ultimate confirmation, in my opinion, would at very least be priced to break and close above that 4-hour 50 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. Now, with that said, what that would mean on the 15-minute time frame is significant breaks of structure once price comes into that area. So we see the 4-hour 50 EMA right here. So long as we get a close above this on the 4-hour time frame, that for me would be the highest type of confluence you can get before taking a long position on GU. Now, I know not everyone is as patient as that. However, that is the best entry criteria, in my opinion, or at least the best setup. So what that would mean is a snap potentially of Asia, a snap of most recent structure as well on that 15-minute time frame. Although we haven't broken above the most recent higher low here on GU, that's as best we can do in terms of being an intraday perspective trader. Now, again, what that means on the DXY, if GU was indeed to push up, DXY would simply continue up towards this area. Once we had some breaks of structure on GU towards the upside, we'd get some breaks of structure on the DXY to the downside, and then pull back up into this area of interest before looking to short the DXY short term. So again, that is in my opinion, the best type of discipline required to take GU longs today. And as I'm saying across Further Up Mastery, is that more often than not, one line should most certainly do it. So that line is presented there. And I'm going to say once we get a significant break of that structure, pull back into imbalance left behind, then I'll be comfortable to look for the short position. The long position. However, with that said, we still know that longer term, the DXY, if I bring your attention to the bottom left-hand chart on the 4-hour time frame, the DXY also here is looking bullish. We've made that higher high. So anytime price is trending below that most recent higher low that is now confirmed as a result of this higher high, we must still acknowledge that we are most certainly still bullish on the DXY. And to be honest, you can get that information from the weekly or even the daily time frame. So once price comes back down into that 4-hour order block, I'll be most certainly expecting a turnaround long term on the DXY, rejecting that daily 50 MA. As we can see, it's doing it to a nice degree. It was price broke down, came up, rejected it, gave a few rejection candles, broke up, came back down, and now we're off towards the upside. So solid confirmation there that DXY is most certainly looking bullish. Now, just to give you a summary again, if we're expecting that longer term long position on the DXY, then of course this longer term short position on GU is also going to make tremendous amount of sense. Shorting from 4-hour order block, refined from that daily time frame as well, and we'll have the support from the daily 50 MA on GU, which is being respected very, very nicely indeed. So I'll keep that there for another short video, just under 10 minutes, and I'll thank you very much for your attention, your support across all the channels, and thank you very much. All the very best in your trading journey. Do take care, and that's Charles. You'll hear from me soon.